Happy New Year. It is officially 2022. Today is actually January 1st when I am recording this because I am so excited about my reading goals for this year. I just recently made a video talking about the 26 books that I read in 2021. My goal that year was to read 24 books and I hit 26. So I knew that I had to increase my goal and I was really torn on what to do. I was thinking about increasing it to 36 because that would mean 3 books a month. Last year, my goal was 2 books a month. And I felt like I wanted a bigger goal. So after a lot of consideration and thought, and I'm a little hesitant to actually declare this out into the world, but I think that I'm ready to make this decision to make my goal actually set in stone. But my goal for 2022 is to read 50 books, which sounds a little scary and a little intimidating, but I think that I'm capable of doing this. So that's just about a book a week with a little bit of slack in there. So that's what we're going to try to aim for. There were some books that I read this year in like 2 or 3 days. So I know that I'm capable of reading a book within a week. I just need to get the consistency down. So we're going to try to do that this year. And honestly, I felt like if I made my goal 36, that I feel like I would have passed that. And then I would have been kicking myself, why am I not pushing myself to 50? So I decided to just make my goal 50 and we'll see if I can get there. But to help encourage myself and to motivate myself to read a lot this year, I went on a shopping spree for books last week. And so I wanted to do a little book haul for you. I got books at Target, Barnes & Noble while they had their 50% off hardback books, which was amazing. I didn't even know that that was a thing. And then I also got a couple books from Amazon. So without further ado, I'm going to show you my books for this year. Not this year. I'm going to show you my book haul. This will just be a small segment of books that I read. But these are the books that I bought this past week during my little book shopping spree. Okay, so this is my stack that I bought last week, I think all within a day or two. There were some that were coming in the mail, so that way it kind of felt a little bit, but more spaced out. But I think we all can agree, if we love books, that there's nothing better than actually going into a bookstore and leaving with hard, physical books. I was in that mood. I was so encouraged for 2022's reading list. I was very motivated. There were a lot of books that I wanted to read. So I decided that what better way to start it by just buying a nice stack that'll get me through the first 2 or 3 months. So let me see. Maybe I'll try to do them per store. So we will start with the books that I got from Target. So we'll start with my books that I got from Target. When I went in, I was like, oh, I kind of feel like getting a stack of books. And then I almost left completely empty-handed. And then I was like, no, I'm not doing it. There's been books that I've been wanting to get for a while, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to kick off this year. So I ended up leaving with 5 books, starting with The Wives by Taryn Fisher. And I would like to just preface this. I go into a lot of books blindly, and that's just truthfully what I enjoy doing. So a lot of these books, I really don't know much about them, and that's just how I like to do things. I at least maybe know okay, I know this will be more suspenseful or stuff like that. But I mean, the catchphrase at the top, this is basically all I read, was imagine that your husband has 2 other wives. You've never met the other wives. None of them know each other. And because of this unconventional arrangement, you can see your husband only 1 day a week. That's basically all I read from it. And I was like, that's really interesting. My best friend had read this book and she really liked it. So that was basically enough for me to pick it up and be like, okay, I want to read this one. So very interested to honestly see what my thoughts are after I read these books, especially because I'm kind of talking about these without knowing much about them. So I'm very interested to see what I will think of this, but I've heard good things. And then we have Transcendent Kingdom. And I don't even want to try to pronounce this name because I know that I will butcher it, and I don't want to do that to the author. But I also don't really know that much about this book, but it was a book that I saw on one of my friends' reads list that she talked about it this past year, and I just wanted to check into this. But I've seen this a lot of places, and I feel like I've seen this on Instagram a lot too from different people that have read books. That was, again, enough for me to pick this up. There's not really much that I'm going to say about these books because I really do like to go in blindly, but I just wanted to give my haul, and that's another one that I'm excited to read. And then we have Normal People by Sally Rooney. And this book I'm very interested to read because my best friend Lauren did not like this book at all. And she was very interested to see what I think of this book because of that experience, which if you've watched my book, if you watch my video talking about the books that I read in 2021, I talked about The Glass Hotel, and I did not like that book. And Lauren said that she's really interested in reading that to see if she has similar thoughts. So I'm wondering if you also have someone that like you kind of toss back books, even if ones that you were like, I didn't really like this. And then you're just curious, like, did other people think this? Am I the only one that thinks this? So I told her I would absolutely be willing to read this. She said there are a lot of people that did like this book, but she just didn't really like it. So I'm interested to try it out. I told her I would just to see my thoughts, to see if I side with her or if I actually liked this one. Again, don't really know anything about this book. And I'm not even going to look on the back because I just like to start a book that way. Then I have In 5 Years by Rebecca Serrell. And I did read a little bit on the back from this one. Can I just say, this book looks like a New Year's, like January read. Like without even looking at the back on anything that this is about, I don't know, the white, the blue, the gold stars on it. I want to read it in January. And honestly, this might be one of the first ones that I start this year just because I feel like it looks so New Year's-y. And I don't know why, besides it just looks like it. But so this one, it says that like Dani had a really important job interview of her career. She just recently got engaged. And then she fell asleep, and when she woke up, she's suddenly in a different apartment with a different ring on her finger and beside a very different man. And she spends exactly 1 hour, 5 years in the future before she wakes again in her own house on the brink of midnight. And it is 1 hour she cannot shake. It's an unforgettable love story. And Lauren also read this one, and I think she really liked this one, so I'm excited to read it. But this one I did actually read the back on, and I was like, yep, I want to read it. And then my last book that I got from Target is a Kristen Hanna book, and I am so excited to read this one. This one I think came out last year. I want to say in 2021. Yeah, it came out in 2021. I read 2 Kristen Hanna books last year. I read Firefly Lane and I read The Great Alone, and I loved both of them deeply. So I would really like to read this one this year because it's another Kristen Hanna book. So we'll see when I want to sit down and read a chunker, but I am sure it is worth it. And I really don't know anything about this book. And I think I'm going to leave it that way. I think I'm going to go into this one totally blind. And then after that, I actually texted Lauren. And you'll find whenever I'm talking about books, I'll probably bring up Lauren's name a lot. But I texted her this stack because she always likes to see what books I pick up. And then she's the one that actually told me about Barnes & Noble having their 50% off all hardcover back books. And I immediately was like, I'm going to go. I'm going to Barnes & Noble right now. So when I was at Barnes & Noble, I got these books. So I'm actually going to start here with the nonfiction. I got 2 books in my book haul, kind of about like health and like gut health that I picked up from, well, I got inspiration to read from a TikToker that I've been following as I'm like just venturing into my own like fitness and health journey. But she got this book, and it's called Brain Maker, The Power of Gut Microbes to Heal and Protect Your Brain for Life. So I have an interest in learning about gut health, so I thought this would be a good book for me to start, and it was 50% off at Barnes & Noble, so I thought that was perfect. So I'm excited, as this is one of my nonfiction reads that I'm going to read this year. I was excited to pick this one up. And then the other nonfiction read that I got at Barnes & Noble, also hardcover, so it's 50% off, is by Jefferson Bethke. I love Jefferson Bethke's books. I really take a lot from him. This was his newest book that he released last year called Take Back Your Family, And I was really excited to read this one. I'm always interested to learn just like what I can have like our family look like, even just as it's Jensen and me, and then preparing for the future when we have a family of like what will our family look like. I don't think it's ever too early to just start really learning about that and trying to set in those motions, even now, just the two of us in our marriage. So I was excited to pick up this one. I feel like he just has a really neat outlook on like what your family team should look like, and so I was excited to read this one. And then this is not a hardcover, but I needed to pick it up while I saw it because I think it's been out of stock at Target for a long time. But It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. This will not be the only Colleen Hoover book I read this year. I already have a couple other ones on my shelf that I'm going to read, but I needed to pick up It Ends With Us because this I feel like is probably the most talked about book, I think, by Colleen Hoover. I feel like this book is everywhere, and I feel like once you read it, then you see someone else read it, and you probably need to talk to them about it. At least when I was at Barnes & Noble, like I picked this up, and someone immediately like started talking to me about this book. So I'm excited to join the club of reading this book because I read 2 Colleen Hoover books last year and was just completely blown away. So I know that I probably will like fly through this book, which makes it easier to make my goal 50 because if I read even like 3 Colleen Hoover books, I'll be able to like fly through them. So that is that. And then I ordered this one while I was at Barnes & Noble. They didn't physically have it in stock anymore, but I was still able to get the 50% discount. But this just came in the mail in the past day or two. Alice Feeney, Rock, Paper, Scissors. And I am really excited. Again, I don't know anything about this one except that Lauren recommended it. And she said that since I loved The Silent Patient so much, she knew that I would love this. And that was literally enough to be like, I'm buying it, because The Silent Patient was definitely one of my top reads of 21. I loved that book so much. So when she said that I would enjoy this one, I know this was definitely a top recommended from her. So I immediately was like, yes, I'm taking advantage of the 50% off deal and I'm buying it. So very excited to read this. I feel like it's like wintry cover, so I'll probably try to read this in the next couple months because so I can get those wintry vibes, because I don't think I'm gonna want to wait all the way until like November, December of next year of this year. I don't want to wait like 11 months. So those were my Barnes & Noble reads, and then I got 2 books from Amazon because I could not find them at any other place, and that is another gut health book called Love Your Gut, another one that I got from TikTok. And I'm really excited to read this. I'm just really excited to read more about gut health and to just see how I can take like natural improvements to just better myself and better my body. This was great because she goes into just like a lot of like information and like content about your gut health. But then I think like the last 100 or so pages is like recipes and all of that. So like very nice, easy ways to just like apply all of this to my daily life by actually having a bunch of recipes. And I'm excited to actually try them, or just be like, oh, I can definitely like add that food to my regular diet to help myself out. So that is Love Your Gut. And the last book that I got, which I gotta say, I might be like most excited for. I don't know. There's a lot in this stack that I just said that I was super excited for. But Lauren told me to read this one called The Acts of Life by Kristen Mulligan. And she specifically said to go into this book blindly. She said not to like look up anything about it, not to read anything. I'm not to read the back, like any of that. And as I've stated already, I love going into books blindly as is. And I just feel like that's just fun for me. And to have a book that was specifically recommended to go in blindly, I was like, yes, say no more. I will buy it. I will read it. So I'm really excited to read this one. I'm not sure when I will read these. I don't really know my order of when I'll read these. I have a ton of other books too that I'm excited to read this year that I've just been sitting on my shelves for months. So, but I'm really excited and I'm happy for the recommendation. So please let me know what you would recommend me to read, because this is only This is only 11 books of my 50, so I'm going to need a lot more recommendations, and I am one that if someone really enjoys a book and they really had a good experience with it, that is pretty much enough for me to want to try it out and read it myself. So I'm definitely more into fiction, but I do like some nonfiction as well. I know that I'm going to read Atomic Habits again. I've read that once in the past, and I really want to make that a January read. That's a nonfiction book, so I know I'll probably read that this month to start off the year. I think that's a really good one to just kind of like establish and maintain good habits for the year. So that's one that I'll probably be reading as well. But I still need a lot more recommendations, so please give them to me. And if you have your own reading goal, let me know and we can cheer each other on. But please like and subscribe to this video. There's a lot more content that I'm really excited to make in 2022, and one of those topics being kind of like book updates as I read and try to hit my goal of 50 books this year. So Happy New Year. Hope that your 22 is great, and I'm excited to see where this year takes me. So until next time, bye.